Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to flank on SandySunset. Now SandySunset is a massive map, so there are already plenty of ways to flank by going to the outskirts of the map. So to make this video both useful and applicable to all game modes, we'll just be focusing on how to flank when you're in the city. With that said, let's jump right in. Now if you haven't yet caught on to the theme of my flanking videos, you probably have the brain power of a rock. Yes, that does mean we will be utilizing my verticality idea from past videos. Now the part of the city we will be focusing on the most is this middle central area of clustered buildings. And while we are focusing on this area, I think this could probably work in other areas with their own clusters of buildings. See, when flanking, we're just trying to avoid the line of sight of as many enemies as possible. And while this may put you really close to these enemies, that doesn't mean that they know that you're there. See, what I'm getting at is that there are a lot of snipers on SandySunset. However, in these close combat modes, it's a lot more difficult to go through the 100 or so people who are trying to funnel into the choke point areas. And if you can maneuver through the buildings in the correct manner, you can pretty much negate the ability of snipers to take you out. This allows you to put yourself in a location that almost none of the enemies will be expecting. And this combination of the right moves will ultimately lead to you making a great play. When you make your flanking runs, I highly recommend you bring out your best movement moves. The more creative you can be with your flanking path, the higher chance you're going to get by being undetected or unscathed. Remember too that good flanking paths don't just develop over one run. You're going to be repeating this process many times, so go ahead and keep making your path better and better each time you do it. Maybe sometimes you equip a grappling hook to get you up this side of a building, or other times you bring a hammer or C4 to blow through walls that are in your way. See, you should view all these buildings not as obstacles that funnel you into a certain area, but as a means for getting around the people who think in that manner. And I promise you, when it seems like you've hit a dead end while trying to maneuver through these buildings, there's probably a way around it. Whether it's going up that building or trying to jump around it to the balcony of another building, there's a way through. And in my experience since the beta, very few players patrol these areas. So in my opinion, this is definitely the best path of least resistance while trying to go through the city. But just as a disclaimer, I don't want you guys to think that these areas are completely void of anybody. You should be running around with your weapon out, as you will probably encounter enemies. It's just that comparative to any other path, this is the easiest route. Now I just want to go over some examples giving you guys my thought process as I'm flanking in these close combat situations. So we're starting off with a clip that has a very similar vibe to an earlier clip that I've already shown. I'm showing this clip to emphasize the building hopping you might have to do when you're making your route. I'm also showing this clip because it's a quote-unquote flank. Really the only part where any flanking takes place is that last little jump over the line of sight of the first line of enemies. Doing this allowed me to make a pretty good play until I pretty much ran out of bullets. Here's one I want to show because it kind of happens in a different set of clustered buildings. This is just to prove that you can do this pretty much anywhere in the SandySunset city as long as you have buildings to grapple and maneuver with. But this clip pretty much has everything. I'm hopping between buildings, I'm using C4 to break down walls, I'm using grapple hooks to get up into higher places. I even run outside for a second and I still don't get hit by any snipers. To me, this is ideally what most of your flanks should look like on this map. And I think I'm going to use this last clip to deliver a PSA. When you're doing these flanks, you should always kind of have in mind where you think the enemy is or where you think they might go. SandySunset has many places where enemies like to pile up, and if you can always keep these in your mind, then you can always kind of have an end goal with your flanks, because you want to be creative, but you don't want to do it without purpose. In this clip here, I hit this area once, and then I knew to return to it because I was like, enemies are probably going to pile up there again. And this isn't to say that flanks done without purpose will have no end success. I just think you're more likely to succeed when you do have a purpose in mind. Now before I end this video, I just want to throw out some extra tips when trying to flank on SandySunset. The first thing that I want to mention is that there is a pipe on this map that runs underneath the SandySunset city. Pipes are always helpful when trying to flank at any time in BattleBit, and this one's cool because it has 2 extra entrances/exits other than the pipe itself. It's also got a pretty nice side passage that would probably be a dirty squad beacon site. For weapons and gear, I'd recommend pretty much anything that's close combat. So this is your SMGs and personal defense weapons. Some ARs may work, but that might get a little tricky. Unlike my other videos, I think you could actually get away with not having a grapple hook or flashbangs, as the buildings really do a good job at shielding your flank. So this should allow you to run a extra explosive kit. I'm thinking something like the engineer with C4, RPGs, and grenades. That would definitely give you maximum close quarters firepower. Anyways, that pretty much does it it for this installment in my flanking series. If you like this video and you want to see more, please tell me about it in the comments. Plus, you could always subscribe to catch my next flanking video. And once again, thank you all so much for watching.